Schaff. I'm a firefighter here with C2FR and Rescue. And this year for Fire Prevention Week, I'd like to show you around our fire engine. Let's take a look inside. So we'll start around the front here, and one of the things you might notice the most is our intake here. This is the hose that we use to connect to fire hydrants if we need more water than what the engine carries. The engine itself already carries 750 gallons of water though, so at the very least we can get a good start on a big fire. Some of the other things you might notice, we keep our traffic cones up here. This is if we're working on the side of a road or highway, and we need to let people know that we're out with a car accident or a person who's hurt or is sick or something of that nature. The other thing you might notice is the distinct sound that our fire engine makes comes from our siren right here. And this is a mechanical siren that's controlled from inside the cab. Also up here we have some smaller hoses. We use these for small brush fires, and we have something here called a chimney snuffer as well that we'll use in the event of a chimney fire. So taking a look inside the cab here, we have all of our buttons and switches that we can turn the rig on with. And if I'm driving this engine, I can control everything from right in here. So if you notice, I pointed to the siren on the front. If I wanted to use that, I have two pedals down next to my foot here. I have one for the siren and one for the air horn. Also up here, I have all kinds of buttons and switches. Most of them are the same you'd find in a regular truck. However, this one I have special ones that will allow me to control all of our emergency lights. And I can turn all of them on with this switch right here, and that manages all of our emergency lighting. And I can shut it off here as well. Going to the back seat here, this is where the firefighters ride on our way to emergency calls. They keep their gear all inside of here so it's ready to go when we do get a call. And they also keep their air pack in their seat like this so they can put it on the way to a fire. The other thing that's kind of special about our rigs here is we'll keep our hand tools and fire extinguishers inside. That way when we show up to the firefighter's ready to go, they can grab their tools from here and they can step off the rig with them. We also keep our medical and first aid supplies inside of a cabinet in the center there, and that allows us easy access to them in case the ambulance doesn't come to the call with us if they're on another call or out doing some other errand. In here is where we keep most of our hose lines. So here we have 1 3/4 hose. That gives us 150 gallons a minute of water to put on a fire. These are our primary attack lines for most house fires that you'd run into. We also have some other specialty equipment in here like a backboard. So if someone has a back injury and we need to splint it from there, we can take care of that. We also have our little giant ladder, which allows us easier access to attic spaces and that sort of thing. Moving along, we have what's called our engineer's compartment. And in here, we have all of the controls that work the pump on this vehicle. So like I said before, I have 750 gallons of water already in here ready to go, but I can also have valves that I can let water in from a fire hydrant or maybe a static water source like a pond or a swimming pool if I had to go that route. I can also control how much pressure and how much water is coming out of each hose line from here. And I also have some different appliances and extra nozzles and that sort of thing in case we need to kind of build our own set of hose. Moving along here, we have some of our other equipment in here, and this is what's called our RIT pack, and this has an extra bottle for a pack in case a firefighter gets trapped or lost and is hurt and needs more air. We can put a new mask and hook them up to that bottle. The other things that we have in here are our ground monitor. So on top of the fire engine, there is a large monitor that we can flow large amounts of water to if we go to a commercial fire or an apartment fire that's beyond the capabilities of our hose lines. This monitor is extendable from the rig that we can use if we need more water somewhere than what our standard hose lines we put on our shoulder can go past us. This hose we use to rinse off at the scene of a fire in case we get all dirty and covered in insulation, smoke, that sort of thing. It helps keep us a little bit cleaner. In here we keep our rope bag and some other small tools. That way if we're up on a roof or in an upper floor of a building, we can throw that bag down and hoist tools up to us. This compartment here, we have a couple more tools. We'll keep our driver's gear and his air pack as well, and then some other things. So we have our lifting airbags. We can put these underneath a car or other vehicle and lift up to 10,000 pounds with them if we have to get something off of somebody. In here we also have what is essentially a large fan. It's good for removing smoke from buildings after the fire's been put out and we need to clear it. So as we come around to the back of the fire engine here, we have more hose options. We have our little bit larger, so we have a little bit larger 2.5-inch hose, and this is really good for when we need a little bit more water than what our hoses on the side like this one can normally put out. We also have our larger 4-inch hose, and we use this to hook up to a fire hydrant to supply the fire engine with more water. Back here, so now our crew is going to just receive the emergency call and they're going to respond out on it accordingly. Moving around to the back of the engine here, up top we carry more hose. So here we have our little bit larger 2.5 hose, and that's in the case that our smaller 1.75 hose won't work out if we go to an apartment or a commercial building like a doctor's office that's on fire. This puts out 250 gallons of water a minute. Here we have another 1.75, and we also carry our 4-inch hose. This hose is used to hook up to fire hydrants that will allow more water to come into the engine in case we run out of what's in our tank. In this compartment, we keep all of our saws. So we carry 2 separate saws on this ring. Our gas power. One of them is a large chainsaw, just like you'd use to cut down a tree. And the other one is a circular saw. We use this for cutting metal. We also have our other hydrant stack here. This allows us to hook up to the fire hydrant with some things in the case that it's not a normal fire hydrant. It has connections that allow us to attach our hose to it. Up top here we carry extra fuel for our saws in case we're on a fire for a long time and end up running out. We also have extra borrow. Up here we have some compartments that are kind of hidden. In this one we have a couple of hooks and an attic ladder. This is in the case that we have a fire that's inside of a wall or an attic or something of that nature, and they'll allow us to open it up and access it easier. In here, we've hidden our ladders. So it rains a lot in this area, and ladders don't typically do very well on top of the fire engine. So we keep them in here. It helps keep them out of things like low trees and that sort of stuff, and it keeps them out of the rain as well. We have a 24-foot ladder, which is good for accessing 2nd and 3rd floors. And then we also have a 14-foot roof ladder, which has hooks on the end that we can deploy up into a roof as well. On this side, we carry our application equipment. So in our area, we cover every type of roadway you can imagine, from gravel country roads all the way to the freeway that's I-5. So we have the opportunity to run on all kinds of different car accidents. Because of that, we carry extrication equipment in here, also known as the jaws of life. So that's split up into 3 separate tools, being the spreaders, cutters, and then also the hydraulic ramp. Up top we have what are called Rescue 42s, and these are struts that essentially, if a car's on its side or a roof, we can make a triangle and make it more stable. And then we also have a sawzall and a power drill for other sorts of things we might need to do. In this compartment, we keep a lot of our extra hand tools, be it axes, sledgehammers, for breaking into whatever we might need to get into. Behind that, we have some more tools, another type of hook. Up top here, we have a residential water key, bolt cutters, and a door spreader. On top of that, we also have what's called a piercing nozzle, and that way if we have a fire inside of a confined space, we can hammer that into there and put the fire out that way. Down below here, we keep our extra air bottles. So we carry extras of these even though we already have them in the seats for our air packs. And we keep these because we could be working on a fire for a longer period of time, and it gives us extra work cycles to go through. In this compartment, this is where the officer, or the person who's in charge of the fire engine, keeps their turnout gear, and we also keep cribbing in here. This is for, like I mentioned earlier, if a car is on its top or its side, we can help stabilize it in place and make it safe for us to get somebody out of there. We also have some things in case someone spills fuel or some type of other hazardous material. Then we can help stop that and clean it up a little bit. On this side, we have a couple more seats for our firefighters. And then, like I said before, inside here we keep all of our medical equipment. So we have our heart monitor, airway kit, and then a standard medical box and some other things in there. That way we're an ALS capable engine here, so if we have a paramedic working with us, we can give them all the tools that they need for their toolbox to get the job done, whatever that may be. And then finally, up here in the front seat, this is where the officer rides. So we usually have a lieutenant or someone acting as a lieutenant sit up here, and they're in charge of the engine for the day. And basically their job is to get orders and help direct an emergency scene from there. Inside we have their air pack, so they can come off the rig ready to go to work. And we also have a computer. This computer, every 911 call we receive, it sends the address to it and other information we might need to know as we're responding to it. So up here in this compartment, we have more of our hoses. It's another 1 3/4 hose, and we just have two, so one can come off of each side of the fire engine. So no matter what side of the street the call is on, we're prepared for that. We can also access our ladder. We have a couple other tools up top, like a trash hook, which is good for tearing apart dumpsters that might be on fire and that sort of thing. And then we also have our apartment pack. We can use that to extend off and make other hose lines. Thank you for joining us for Fire Prevention Week. I was happy to show you around our fire engine. This engine was bought as part of our 2016 capital improvement bond and named after our previous fire chief, Dave LaFave. It currently responds out of Station 2-1 in Kelso, which is our headquarters station.